Hey Disney fans, welcome back to another edition of Disney Duel. Today in Disneyland we're going to pit two car rides against each other. The first is Autopia and then the second is Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin. Which attraction will prevail? Let's find out. Okay, we're going to start with Autopia. First category, location. Now Autopia is kind of tucked away in the back of Tomorrowland, but it actually has a great location. It is next to so many other things. So either before or after Autopia, you could easily do Space Mountain, Star Tours, Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters, the Carousel of Progress, the Matterhorn. There are so many rides that you can do right after Autopia. In addition to that, there's a lot of shopping, there's a lot of quick service restaurants. There is a ton nearby. 5 out of 5. Now, where the location is great, the queue is something to be desired. It's all outdoors, and most of it is shaded. But unfortunately, since it can get pretty warm, I do find myself getting really hot in this queue. In addition to that, there's not really anything to entertain you. There's a small little place that's kind of like a hallway area. It has like a display, I think, by either Chevron or maybe Honda now. It's mildly entertaining, but by and large, the queue is outdoors, so it gets hot, and it's kind of boring. So this is a 2 out of 5. In terms of the average wait time, it's usually not too bad. This ride usually has like a 30 to 60 minute wait, and I wouldn't personally wait 60 minutes, but 30 minutes is definitely doable. The problem for me is it always feels like it takes longer than is actually posted, and I don't know if that's because it's outside and it's hot or because the queue is just kind of boring, but in general, I'd give it a 3 out of 5. Now for ambiance, I'm really just going to focus on the ride itself since we already covered the queue. And there are some nice parts about the drive. There's a lot of trees, there's a lot of nature. Sometimes you get to see the monorail pass by overhead. That can be super cool. So in general, it's got some nice elements to it, but you're still simulating driving on the freeway, which isn't fun or ambient at all. So in general, there's some pros and there's some cons. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. For excitement, this ride can actually vary quite a bit. If you're driving yourself as an adult, it's not that exciting. I mean, you're just driving like an oversized go-kart, and you can basically do that in your car on a normal freeway. So it's kind of exciting as an adult, but I mean, not really. Now, as a kid, though, it is super exciting. I mean, this is a lot of kids' first experience riding what they feel like is a real car on a real road, even though it's simulated with the guardrail and all that stuff. And if you do have a kid driving, it's going to be bouncy and they're going to hit the guardrail. So I guess it does get kind of exciting, but it really depends who's driving, a kid or an adult. So since it really depends who's driving, I'll give this a 5 out of 10. Now, the flip side of that coin is actually enjoyment. If you're an adult driving, it's actually semi-enjoyable. Now, it does lose points for A, the fumes. The fumes are rough. Why Disneyland hasn't upgraded to electric cars yet, I have no idea, but the fumes can be brutal. It's also very loud. The engines are so brutally loud. That definitely cuts into the otherwise enjoyment of a kind of scenic drive if you're alone as an adult. But if you're being driven by a kid, you're just going to be hitting that guardrail over and over and over again. It is not enjoyable. You'll probably get whiplash and just keep getting thrashed around. So once again, it really kind of is the flip side of the excitement coin for this one. So I will also give enjoyment a 5 out of 10. And the last category is nostalgia. Now, Autopia actually has a lot going for it in this category. It's one of the original rides. It was there when Disneyland opened, which means Walt has seen it and ridden it. That's a big plus for Disneyland nostalgic people. In addition to that, many kids probably get their first taste of driving on Autopia, and a lot of us pretty much remember that, myself included. So there is a nostalgic component to the ride itself. When you're a kid, it's your first time driving, that's exciting, and you remember that as an adult. So actually, I give this a 5 out of 5 on nostalgia. Okay, let's move on to our second ride in the duel, Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin. Let's see how that does. Now, the first category is location. And Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin is in the first part of Toontown, and it's a long walk from the park's entrance. It's basically as far away from the entrance as you can be, so it usually takes a while to get there. In addition to that, once you're done, there's not really anything nearby. I mean, there's the rest of Toontown, which isn't that exciting unless you're a kid, and I guess it's a small world, and Fantasyland is kind of close, but in general, there's really not a lot to score this location high, so I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. Next is the queue. Now, unless the queue has wrapped all the way outside, which can be hot and uncovered, the queue is pretty much all indoors. It's air conditioned, it's got a theme, the theme of the ride. It kind of like twists and turns and wraps around, so it's actually kind of entertaining, keeps you distracted, makes the line feel like it's moving a little bit faster than it is. So I'm going to give the queue a 4 out of 5. In terms of average wait, this one can vary from walk right on to 60 minutes or maybe longer, but in general, at least lately, I have found that this line is not very long. It moves quick enough where you could probably get on in like 10, 15, 20 minutes, which is pretty good. So I'm going to give the average wait time a 4 out of 5. On Ambiance, it actually does pretty well. I mean, it's a well-themed ride, and even the queue ties into the ride nicely. So in terms of like a cohesive theme, there's a lot of Roger Rabbit for obvious reasons. There's a lot of odes to the movie. It's fun. There's a lot of like zany sound effects and things like that. So by and large, the Ambiance is actually pretty good, especially for a dark ride. So I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Okay, excitement. Fun fact. The first time I rode this by myself, I had no idea that you could spin the steering wheel to spin your car vehicle. So I just got whipped around for the entire thing, finding it kind of awkward that my point of view always seemed to be off. It was only the next time I rode with a friend that I realized you could spin the wheel, and that obviously made it a lot more exciting. So if you know to turn the steering wheel, it's actually a pretty fast ride to begin with. It whips you around a lot, and you can control the motion of your vehicle. So in terms of excitement, it's actually not bad. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. Now, even though it's exciting, is it enjoyable? Now, for me personally, I don't like spinning, so that's a negative right off the bat. It makes me motion sickness. And I feel like you do get whipped around a lot on this ride. And if you don't know that this is like a whip around spinny ride, you just think it's a dark ride more like Peter Pan or Snow White or whatever, you might be in for kind of an unpleasant surprise. So I think your mileage will really vary on this particular ride. So on enjoyment, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Okay, now for our final category, nostalgia. Now, obviously, this ride was not there when the park originally opened. It's probably more like 20 or 30 years old. It coincides, obviously, with the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So, nostalgically speaking, that was actually a pretty fun movie. I think plenty of people probably enjoy that movie enough where there is a little bit of a nostalgic connection to this ride. But by and large, there's not a lot of nostalgia going for this ride. So I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. Okay, the moment of truth, the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's add up all the scores and see who wins. Autopia comes in with a final score of 31 points. Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin comes in with a total of 33 points, making it the winner by 2 points. So in this battle of the car-based rides, Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin is victorious. I hope you enjoyed this Disney Duel video. There's a bunch of other ones to check out. If you have a specific ride versus ride duel you would like me to do, please let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next Disney Duel. Bye!